Camel. Camel meat has been eaten for thousands of years, particularly in desert regions. Camels were domesticated around 3000 BC in the Arabian Peninsula. While they were mainly used for transportation across harsh desert landscapes, they also became an important source of food. Camel meat is typically dark red and relatively lean compared to beef. The flavor is often described as slightly sweeter and stronger than beef, sometimes somewhere between beef and lamb. Younger camels usually produce the best meat, as it is more tender and mild in flavor. One of the most prized parts of the camel is the hump. Contrary to popular belief, the hump does not store water. Instead, it stores fat. When cooked, this fat becomes extremely rich and flavorful. In many Middle Eastern cultures, hump meat grilled over fire is considered a delicacy and is often served during celebrations and weddings. Camel meat is also sometimes considered healthier than beef because it generally contains less fat and cholesterol. Beef. Beef is one of the most widely consumed red meats in the world, coming from cattle that were first domesticated nearly 10,000 years ago. What makes beef interesting is how different each cut of meat can be. The flavor and tenderness depend heavily on which part of the animal the meat comes from. For example, the tenderloin is located along the spine and does very little work during the animal's life. Because of this, it becomes extremely soft and tender. On the other hand, the chuck from the shoulder area contains much more connective tissue and fat. It can be tough when cooked quickly, but when slow cooked for hours, it becomes incredibly rich and flavorful. Another famous cut is brisket, taken from the chest. Brisket is one of the toughest cuts of beef, but when smoked slowly for many hours, it becomes tender and full of deep flavor. One of the biggest factors affecting beef quality is marbling. Marbling refers to the tiny streaks of fat running through the muscle. These streaks melt during cooking, making the meat juicier and more flavorful. Certain cattle breeds are famous for producing high-quality beef. Angus cattle are widely known for their consistent marbling, while Wagyu cattle from Japan produce some of the most intensely marbled beef in the world. Besides flavor, beef is also nutritionally rich. It provides high-quality protein, iron, vitamin B12, and zinc, all of which play important roles in energy production and immune health. Elk. Elk are among the largest members of the deer family and have long been an important food source for indigenous communities. A single elk can weigh over 700 pounds, providing a huge amount of meat. Historically, elk hunting was a major event in many cultures. The meat was often preserved by drying it into jerky or mixing it with fat and berries to create a food called pemmican, which could last through the winter. Elk meat is deep red and extremely lean. Its flavor is often described as richer and more complex than beef, with a slightly earthy taste that reflects the animal's natural diet of grasses and plants. Because elk meat contains very little fat, it must be cooked carefully. Overcooking it can make it tough and dry, so chefs often cook elk quickly over high heat and serve it medium rare. Pork. Pork comes from pigs and is actually the most widely consumed meat in the world. Pigs have played an important role in agriculture for centuries because they are incredibly efficient animals. They can eat a wide variety of foods and quickly convert them into protein. Pork itself has a mild and slightly sweet flavor, which makes it extremely versatile in cooking. It absorbs marinades, spices, and smoke very well, which is why it appears in so many cuisines around the world. Different parts of the pig produce very different types of meat. Pork belly is rich and fatty, pork loin is lean and tender, and pork shoulder is perfect for slow cooking because of its connective tissue. Before vegetable oils became common, pork fat, known as lard, was one of the most widely used cooking fats in the world. Lobster. Lobster has not always been considered a luxury food. In fact, during colonial times in North America, lobsters were so abundant that they were sometimes seen as poor people's food. After storms, huge piles of lobsters would wash up on beaches, making them extremely easy to collect. However, once railroads made it possible to transport fresh lobster inland to cities, its reputation changed. By the late 1800s, lobster had become a luxury dish served in high-end restaurants. Lobster meat has a unique texture. The tail meat is firm and dense, while the claw meat is softer and sweeter. When cooked properly, lobster becomes delicate, slightly sweet and buttery. Chicken. Chicken is the most widely consumed meat on the planet today. Chickens were domesticated from wild jungle fowl in Southeast Asia thousands of years ago. Originally, they were kept for ritual purposes and even for cockfighting rather than food. Today, chickens are raised globally and appear in nearly every cuisine. Chicken meat is naturally mild in flavor, which allows it to pair well with countless spices and sauces. Modern farming has dramatically increased chicken production, making it one of the most affordable sources of protein in the world. Wagyu beef. Wagyu is one of the most famous and luxurious types of beef in the world. The word Wagyu actually means Japanese cow, referring to special cattle breeds that are raised in Japan using very strict farming standards. What makes Wagyu beef unique is its extremely high level of marbling. Marbling refers to the thin streaks of fat that run through the meat. When cooked, this fat melts into the muscle, creating a texture that is incredibly tender and juicy. Because of this intense marbling, Wagyu beef is often described as having a buttery texture that almost melts in your mouth. It is considered one of the most premium meats available in fine dining restaurants around the world. Lamb. Lamb is the meat that comes from young sheep and is widely enjoyed in many parts of the world. It is especially popular in regions like the Middle East, Europe, and South Asia, where it plays an important role in traditional cooking. Compared to beef, lamb has a softer texture and a richer flavor. The taste is often described as slightly earthy and savory, which comes from the natural diet of sheep that includes grass and herbs. Because lamb is harvested from younger animals, the meat is generally more tender than mutton, which comes from older sheep. This tenderness makes lamb a favorite choice for roasting, grilling, and slow cooking. The world of meat is far more diverse than most people realize. Each type of meat has its own history, flavor, and cultural importance. These differences show just how creative and adaptable human food traditions have become across different parts of the world. If you enjoyed learning about different types of meat, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more food explanation videos. And if there's another food you'd like to see explained next, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.